has given this gift. It comes as a calling as two people to serve one another. To serve one another not just in what we do for one another, but to serve one another in love, to serve one another in the way that we uplift and we encourage and we build up and we protect one another. And the term that we really have for this, and it's the term that God has given to us, is the term of covenant. And that's what a marriage is built upon. It's built upon a covenant because there are no longer two, but there are one as they come together and they make their vows. Now, the significance of this is that for most of us and most of our lives, we operate on contract mentalities. And that comes forward as if you fill your part of the agreement, then I'll fulfill mine. And if you don't fulfill your part, then I'm out. But that's not what God calls us to, and that's not the way that God treats us. He calls us to something that is so much more. He does not leave us or forsake us. He does not ask us to be perfect before we are accepted, or to fix ourselves, or to be something different. He does not leave us when we make mistakes. And you see, the difference is that when we make a covenant with one another, we are laying down the rights of an agreement, and we are picking up our responsibilities. The responsibilities to love, the responsibilities to serve and to be faithful and to protect, and the things that I mentioned before. And just upon God's covenant to us, He carried our cross for us. We're committing, and you're committing today, to carry each other's crosses for each other. Yes. Not only is it built on a covenant, but it remains eternal. It is a commitment that is made once and for all. And it is a commitment that doesn't change, it doesn't spoil, it doesn't fade, it doesn't wear out, it's not transferable. It is between one man and one woman. And failure isn't an option. It takes hard work, and even though trials come, your commitment supersedes those trials. And not only that, but it's sustained by faithfulness, the understanding that there is no other. Just as the runner said at the very beginning, I have found the one whom my soul loves. The one whom my soul loves. So just a couple of scriptures very quickly. 2 Corinthians 12 says, my grace is sufficient for you. My prayer for you guys today is that your grace for each other would be sufficient for one another. Colossians 3:13-15 says, bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord has forgiven you, and over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. So forgive one another, love one another, live in peace with one another, and be thankful for each other. Amen?
Amen.
And the last thing is to remember that the commitment that you're making today, it's not just today for this moment for our benefit, but it's the commitment that drives every single day of your life, every breath that you make, every look that you give into each other's eyes. It drives everything that you do. It's an everyday thing. And what was shared with me years ago that I always like to share is thinking of things in terms of a triangle, because that's the way this covenant is not only established, but the way this covenant is completed. That you see in a triangle, the bottom typically is the two sides that are farther apart, and then there's the point or the top. Well, you two form both the points on the sides at the bottom, and Christ forms the point at the top. And the closer that you two as individuals and as a couple strive towards that point to the top, not only do you get closer to that point, but you get closer to one another as you draw together to that place. And what we have this evening, Brandon and Samantha have prepared personal vows for one another, and we're going to take an opportunity to hear those. So if you have Kleenexes, I just ask you to go ahead and get